This video is about the different panel sizes available for an IKEA kitchen. The reason I'm shooting this is so that you're aware of what is available. That way when you're planning, it helps you plan. You know where you can use different panels to do fillers or cap the ends of an island or figure out or finish around your fridge, things like that. So here's a list of the panels. We're going to go through what each of the panel sizes is and then the actual size and thickness itself. And then we're just going to show you where to use them and where I use them and how customizable an IKEA kitchen is. And this is just all to help you in the planning stages. And like I said, two of the sizes, the dishwasher panel and the 36 by 96, the big mother, those are the hardest ones to know and find on the planner. But if you ask an IKEA rep, they are available and they can just throw them on when you actually physically order your kitchen. So let's get into it. This is a 36 by 96 panel. What's nice about that is I rip it down to whatever width or dimension I want. I cut a little bit off the height. That leftover strip I can use for other filler panels. So for example, these are a little bit thicker, so I use the cutoffs for this panel and this one over here. Now the reason I did that is because this cabinet's a 36, but if your fridge, you need a little extra space. So these extra two here give me a 37 3/8 rough opening for my fridge to fit into. Okay, and then IKEA thinks of everything. They have venting through the back cabinet there, so hot air rises through the back, so your fridge doesn't overheat. Over here, so a side panel here, this would be a 15 by 42.5. Now, what's nice about these, there's one drawback to these, and I'll show you why, but there's kind of two options that you can use these for. You always go flush to the top, but they're designed so that if you do under cabinet lighting, they overhang and then you throw the valance on and hide all your lighting and wiring. Or if you don't do under cabinet lighting, you just bring that up flush there, cut the top off, leave your factories there. Now the only reason that these could be a small drawback is they don't overhang a whole lot. I like to go 3/4. These aren't quite 3/4 of an overhang. Let's just figure it out. Well, it's 3/4 there, 11/16. What happens is if your wall's out of plumb or you need to taper cut or scribe to the wall, if you have to cut any material off this to match your wall, then you have even less material and less overhang. And it just doesn't look as nice to the doors, but the advantage to that is it's so easy of a panel to use. It's the least amount of cutting, and most of the time it works, or you just throw it on and screw it. Keep in mind when you fasten these, always clamp it and use a 1 1/8 inch screw. So those are a lot of times special order. I don't use the IKEA Phillips head screws for these, even though they do supply them. I don't like them. That's just me being picky. Okay. Now with those, I'll end up doing, so with those upper panels, I'll end up using one of those in this corner. I'll overhang it because we do have the under cabinet lighting, and I'll just overhang it and just build an L-tie is what I call it. I have other videos on the full IKEA install, so you can catch those videos if you want the more details on the how. Over here, what we've done is the customer wanted a 36-inch rough opening just in case down the road he wants to upgrade to a 36-inch range. So what we've done is we've built this panel system. This is two 15 by 42.5s, and then I just used some cutoff material and sandwiched it in between. And I also filled in the bottom side, and I pre-built that and just brad nailed it all together, clamped it to the box, screwed it, right? So now I have the other one built. I'll install that, but then the microwave can fit here. Everything looks nice. It fits with the under cabinet lighting. And then if anything ever gets changed later, They can just pop this off and this out, replace this cabinet with a 36. Then they can pop this panel off. This one's not installed yet. They could pop those off and then slide a 36-inch range in. Now what's kind of tricky about that is you'd have to cut the countertop, but you know, I don't have to worry about that right now, so that's a bonus. Okay, we'll need a filler panel in this inside corner. None of these are officially set yet, but you just, yeah, overhang them 3/4, do an inside corner there. Islands and peninsulas get a little tricky sometimes. If you plan out your panels, you can make it work. I have other videos on how to specifically do the islands and peninsulas. Even just for this example, you could use a 25 by 30 panel that would just go down to here if you wanted a recessed toe kick. Or you use the 26 by 36 dishwasher panel if you want it to go right down to the floor. And then you just got to think about, okay, if you come over here, this cabinet will have doors or drawers, doesn't matter, they'll finish off here. So when this panel comes in, you want a finished edge there. So what most likely will happen, depending on what you do, you come over here, you'll have your cut edge here, and then you want this panel, it'll have to have a finished edge front and back, right? It all depends. Sometimes you just got to chase around a corner. I'll give you an example. So let's say we're doing some filler panel. I need this edge to be finished, and then you could chase yourself around a corner. So then this edge is finished, and then you just butt one in to there. So you have finished side there, here. You always have a nice finished edge. So sometimes you got to chase your way around a corner, or you can do what we did over for the microwave here, where, and it all depends on your preference. What's nice about this way is my brad nails are through the sides, right? I don't have to chase my way around the corner. This piece down the middle can be 2 cuts, right? The only thing I have to consider is when you go from on the underside is just make sure I have a factory here, and then this piece can be all cut edges, and I can just use lots of scraps. So I'll have a bunch of other just short videos on how to use the panels in different situations, and also I have the full 5-part Ikea series on how to do a whole kitchen front to back. So just stay tuned for all those, watch what you can, ask me questions, and yeah, familiarize yourself with the panels. I think it is helpful. This is a 15 by 42.5 panel. The actual size is 15 3/8 by 42.5, half-inch thick. So these are used for upper cabinet side panels for the most part. And then I use them for also fillers for inside corners for upper cabinets and other custom things like pillars and things to fur out the microwaves and things like that. 15 by 90-inch panel. The actual size is 15 3/8 by 90 inches, half-inch thick. This is for a shallow pantry unit, but the taller version. There's either an 80-inch or a 90-inch. And that's just to cap the side panels, but it just caps the cabinet, it doesn't go to the floor. So it wouldn't cover the toe kick. You still need a toe kick. I like to use these for finished toe kicks when you're using the plywood bases like I like to try to use. These are called a 25 by 30 panel. The actual size is 24 9/16 by 30. They're half-inch thick. So they're to cap the sides of a lower cabinet. So it's a lower cabinet side panel. You can use it for filler panels on all your lowers. Just keep in mind they also don't go to the floor. They stay up that, you know, roughly 4.5 inches off the floor. These panels are starting to get a little more handy. These are the 26 by 36. They call it a dishwasher panel. Sometimes I find it hard to find these on the Ikea planner, but if you ask for them, they'll supply them, and they come in handy because the actual size is 26 by 36. They're a little thicker, 11/16 thick. So they're dishwasher panels, islands, peninsulas. They're good for everything. So here's the Mac Dog panel. This one is the most versatile. It's a 36 by 96 panel, and that's the actual size itself, 11/16 inch thick. Use those for fridge gables, island panels, peninsulas. It's good for everything. You can rip it down, use it for finished toe kick if you're using a plywood base like I use.